All right, welcome to the Vault Report. I'm here with Kai McKeon, co-founder of the Three Man Weave, also contributor to the Field of 68, and the man responsible for the 810 portion of the almanac, which obviously I'm most interested in. First off, congratulations. I know this is volume two, the amount of work that goes in it. It's pretty incredible. But how are you doing? I'm sure, again, kind of proud of the work that you guys have done.
Doing good. Yeah, it was a lot of hours spent during the summer calling a bunch of coaches, but it was a labor of love and happy to be done. Happy that it's finally out there. I'm sure you guys will get annoyed by the marketing over the next couple months before the season starts, but yeah, glad it's done. A lot of fun to do. Proud of it as well.
Oh, it's great. And I want to jump right to it. Everyone wants to know, everyone within A10 fan bases, people have followed it. Is the A10 going to be a one bid league again? Obviously,
Yeah.
a pretty tough year last year, but hard to predict right now. But how do you see it when people say, with what's going on with conference realignment, the A10 just continues to go down? I mean, that's sometimes the narrative after a year like that. But where do you see the league?
Yeah, it was obviously the worst year maybe ever for the A10. Certainly the current iteration, Loyola excluded, it's 1 year for them. It was strange. It was like a perfect storm. Every single team got worse from the year prior. It was injuries. It was strange circumstances. I don't really know why it was so down. I feel like the talent wasn't necessarily down, but for whatever reason, they didn't perform this season. I think we do see a bit of a bounce back. I don't know if I'm confident in saying it's a multi-bid league, but I'd probably give it more than 50% chance. I can see two teams getting in. That kind of predicates on Dayton getting back to Dayton levels, and that requires health for them, obviously. They probably have the best shot at an at-large bid. But I can see two teams make it this season. I think it's going to be a better league across the board.
No, I agree because I do think even and some people might say this is a stretch, but even at the point of saying you have a team like Dayton, maybe VCU, you have a strong team. The likelihood of them also winning the conference tournament usually is not there. And with the A10,
Right.
usually when you have that team that maybe would not have got in, you're still getting the conference champion or a one or two
Mhm.
seed. So I look at the coaches though. You look at last year and some of the new coaches that were brought in. And you look at someone like Archie Miller, you look at someone like Frank Martin. I'm a big Chris Caputo guy as well. You look at the future though, you have some coaches there that this is a place where they need to succeed, where they've been, and I'm talking Frank Martin, Archie Miller. Where do you see with those two the rebuild with UMass and URI? Obviously, a down season in their first year, but it is a rebuild.
As of now, I have more confidence in Archie, and I didn't expect to say that after year one, because I feel like Frank built a better roster in year one. But the thing is, I don't know what he's doing this season. If you look at UMass's roster, it's pretty much all freshmen right now. He brought a couple guys back, but they weren't his most talented players, and he plays like 13 guys a game. It's going to be a lot of youth on the floor. It's going to be probably a pretty painful year for the Minutemen. And then going forward, I'm not sure having a down season 2 years in a row is going to have much juice for the excuse me, for the program recruiting base, going forward. Archie, I think he realizes what last season was. He even kind of like laughed in the interview this summer, just like, yeah, I know that was horrible. And it feels like they had some chemistry issues last year. You're closer to the team, obviously, you probably were aware of that. It feels like he has his guys now in the locker room. I expect major improvements from him. He's done it before in the A10, so I feel better about Rhode Island going forward.
Definitely. And, I will talk about Dayton VCU. Obviously, two names that, if you look at, past success, I put St. Bonaventure in there as well. I think they've been underrated. You look at what,
Yeah.
Schmidt's been able to do actually in the last 6 years. But, you look at even kind of your rankings. I know, within the top five, you had St. Bonaventure, Duquesne, St. Joe's. For maybe the casual non A10 fan, especially you look at Duquesne, St. Joe's specifically, we haven't really heard that name at the top. One of those three teams, do you think, though, I don't want to say has the highest ceiling, but actually, they're going to be good, but there is a little bit of doubt. You could see them fall, maybe towards that second half.
Yeah, that's St. Joe's because Billy Lang has not proven that he's a winner, frankly. He has improved the team from a conference record every single year. He's dealt with a myriad of injuries, it seems like every single season. This year should be his year. They have the best backcourt in the league, in my opinion. They have a big guy who they're really excited about, Esandoko, I think is how you pronounce his name. If he is as good as the coaching staff thinks he is, and they don't finish top five, I think it's a huge indictment on Billy Lang. But it is a really tough league. Like choosing this league standings wise was impossible. I got a lot of guff from several different fan bases, and that's understandable. I feel like Bonaventure has the highest floor. I can't see them being bad. Mark Schmidt's the best coach in the league for my money. They have tons of experience, tons of continuity. So I'm pretty confident they're going to be pretty good.
No, I'm with you with St. Bonaventure. I think guys that brought in the depth that they have, the versatility. And like I said, I think one of the more underrated coaches in all of college basketball.
Yeah.
Speaking of coaches, again, VCU has, they've been the model of consistency within the A10, kind of the top program if you look at the last 7-8 years. Odom, what you feel about him? I feel like he may be the best coach since, maybe Shaka Smart in terms of what he brings to the table, what he's been able to do. What do you think of his first offseason, bringing in the guys that he did?
I would say a mixed bag. I love the guys he brought in. The Utah State guys are going to be great in the A10. So Shulga and Bairstow. However, I say mixed bag because he was fully aware that Joe Bamisil probably would not have received a waiver, and he still decided to sign just 11 scholarship guys. So he kind of purposely started off with shallow depth, or at least played it pretty loose with his scholarships. So if anybody gets hurt, they're really thin, and that's their only weakness. They do have a really good top 8, top 9 guys, but injuries can happen at any time, and that could really derail them. If everyone stays healthy, I think they have a chance to win the league because I do think Odom's a great coach. Offensively, you're going to see sort of a different style than Mike Rhodes, and he's certainly proven that he can build programs. He was great at Utah State, obviously UMBC, everybody knows.
Definitely. And a couple of teams, again, I'm not going to talk about them all, but, I do, I think you had them as kind of a sleeper team. I look at George Mason and I look at what Tony Skinn has done. And I think with obviously the changeover from Kim English, obviously a lot of their players going to Providence, I think he did one hell of a job. What do you see as their upside? Again, it is his first year. It's a lot of new guys. There's a lot of gray area within that.
He did do a good job, and I probably lowballed him, to be honest. I picked him 12th in the league. Really, you could say they're 8th. I mean, that's how close the margins are here. Talent is very, very good in this roster. Not quite as good as last season with English's guys. Like, there's no Odoro on this team. But I think he had a great offseason. Darius Maddox could kind of be a star in the A10 if he reaches his potential. My caveat was, or hold off was, it's his first year as head coach. And I know he has ties to the program. I know he has a good background, but that's still a pretty tough bar to overcome, especially in a league as competitive as the A10. So it's more of a wait and see ranking for me. It's more of a factor of, I think a lot of teams are going to get better, this season. So they sort of fell down to the standings because of that. Would not surprise me if they climbed up though.
Yeah. And, not last question, but kind of in terms of a specific team, Keith, I look at Ergo and Fordham.
Yeah.
Obviously such an amazing year last year. The environment, for me, that was the most impressive part. Beyond the wins, just creating, and I know that comes with wins, but not always, to create an environment like that, kind of a place to be in New York. How do you see, obviously he lost, some guys, but how do you see him kind of building and sustaining success? Again, something Fordham has not been accustomed to.
It's really impressive. He's clearly great. And you can even kind of make a theory that 2 years ago was sort of his job as well. If you want to take the stance that Neptune didn't have a great year at Villanova and maybe it was Ergo kind of pulling the strings, just a theory. I'm not sure if that's true or not. But this season, now the thing about Fordham, I picked an 8th. I got a lot of crap from Fordham fans. Losing Quisenberry and losing Khaled Moore is huge. This team was not good offensively last year. Those two were by far the best offensive players. They played the worst non-con schedule in the country. So winning 25 games, there's an asterisk there. If any team in this conference played that schedule, they would have gotten close to that as well. But great sophomore class. Will Richardson is a guy that every single A10 coach kind of is aware of right now as a breakout candidate. Metter is a really good addition from UTSA. I think he's going to be a good point guard in the league. And I think Ergo's a great coach. So Rose Thrill, he brought back that environment. they could definitely climb the standings. I have them right here where I do because I'm not really convinced in the offense quite yet.
Oh, and again, I know you reiterated this a bunch, and you look at the A10 last year, even the last couple of years, to
Mm,
even put standings together, it is, I feel like,
it's
nearly
hard.
impossible because from anywhere from 3 to 11,
Hmm.
there's a lot of movement in there. But kind of last question for you. Like I mentioned, if you haven't picked up the almanac, obviously definitely do. You have Dayton, VCU, St. Bonaventure, Duquesne, St. Joe's in your top five. Outside of that top five, is there any team that you think could be in contention to win? Like it wouldn't surprise you. You're not going to put them there, but that has the highest upside, outside of that top five of yours.
Wow, to win the A10. Fordham, if every single sophomore takes the leap that they're capable of, freshman to sophomore leap is the biggest jump we see in college basketball, and they have four of them. Uh, Loyola, I know maybe a lot of A10 fans are surprised by that. This program's 2 years removed from from like a Sweet 16 appearance, and Drew Valentine, a little shell shock maybe coming into the league for the first time. They're going to be so much better this season. I really expect them to be good. They have a nice roster. Those maybe are the two teams I would say. Now, I think like a team like anybody from 3 through 13 can finish in any order. I would say George Washington can go up too. I'm pretty confident in UMass and LaSalle being at the bottom. Now, Dunphy never finishes last, so they'll probably finish 14th, but those two teams just seem a little bit less than the other 13 squads right now.
Awesome. Well, great stuff. And with Loyola Chicago, again, I'm with you as well. I think there's a little bit of this because of the predictions and the expectations in the first year. It's almost like you can't do it again,
Right.
even though it's a totally different team. But I'm with you
Mhm.
with the depth and the guys that they have brought in. There's no doubt the talent is far superior than last year. And I think Loyola too. Loyola being good will be good for the A10 as well. The
Absolutely.
A10 needs them as a new member to kind of pull their weight. So, anyways, thank you. I appreciate it. We'll definitely maybe midway through the year talk about some more A10 hoops and no more one bid league. So let's hope
That's
for that.
right.
But
Yeah. Thanks, Nathan.
I appreciate it.